Hi everyone, I'm doing my questions video that I talked about on my Instagram now, just answering all the questions you guys sent me. I didn't write down every single question that I was asked just because some of them I had to answer privately because I didn't feel like it was going to be beneficial for anyone to hear the answer to, or like they wouldn't benefit anything from me answering the question. But I grabbed some questions that I feel like are frequently asked. I'm going to go ahead and start that. The first question is, how long does lip blushing and the eyeliner last? So the lip blushing, eyeliner, and the powder brows are all implanted in the skin the same way. So they all last 2 to 5 years without touch-ups. Although you should get a touch-up every year is what I recommend, just to keep up on it. If you feel like it hasn't faded or hasn't like turned a little bit ashy, you can totally wait on it, but it does fade over time. So I just don't want it to be a situation where like I see you in 5 years and I kind of have to start all over because it's faded so much. So just make sure you're keeping up on it. But it does last 2 to 5 years without touch-ups technically. It's not gonna like be gone, it's just gonna be a little faded. Number 2 is, what's your favorite thing to do outside of work? So me and my fiance go to a lot of concerts. We're really big concert goers. We love to travel. Road trips are fun. I really hate flying. I really hate flying. It terrifies me. So road trips are fun. I like to go to Tennessee and drive down to see my dad in Florida. So that's really fun. We like to spend time outside, although I'm not really a big hiker person. But we do like to spend a lot of time outside. And we just got a puppy, so we're really excited to take him on walks once it gets a little warmer and take him to the park and stuff. I think we'll be spending a lot of time doing that. I feel like that's like kind of like the bigger answer to that, like on a smaller scale. Like there's things I like to do, like when I get home from work, I like to journal. I have like multiple journals that I write in all the time. I read. I like to cook, even though I don't do it all the time. I like to do productive things on my laptop, or like watch YouTube. I'm really into relaxing, so I'll like lay on my recliner with my heating pad and my weighted blanket and just like chill and watch a movie. I love to relax. Number 3 is, how long is training at Bare Academy for brows? So for those of you who don't know, my business partner Taylor and I have a training facility in Carmel where we train permanent makeup, and then she trains in skincare, and we do lashes as well. And my class is 4 days, the first 2 days focusing on microblading, and then the last 2 days focused on shading. You get like 2 models and a kit and all the things. So number 4 is, how did you get into permanent makeup? So I'm gonna make this a really short response because I feel like I could spread it out, and I do plan on making a video where I spread it out and kind of go into detail on how I got into it. But the long story short version is, in high school I was an art kid. I did makeup for theater. I did advanced AP art for the last 2 years of my high school. I put my art into competitions and sent it to the state, stuff like that. I love makeup, don't get me wrong. I grew up watching Jaclyn Hill. Like, me and Jaclyn Hill have actually exchanged emails back in the day, before she like blew up. She's my big idol that I had, and I wanted to be her. But even though I was in high school and I was young, I was still very realistic, and I was just like, you know, there's every girl in my high school wants to work at Sephora after this. Not that I couldn't make it, but I just didn't want to even try, because I'm like, I love makeup and everything, but I want to work for Kim Kardashian. Like, that's where my brain goes, and if I don't make it to that point, I'm not going to be happy, and I just don't see myself getting to that point. So I didn't even try it, although I love doing makeup and I would do makeup as a career if I didn't like hate the social aspect of it. I tried doing wedding makeup, and like, I've worked with a lot of lovely people but it's just like the social part of it is really hard for me. And people ask me if I wanted to be a tattoo artist because I'm very into tattoos. I have a lot of tattoos, and back in high school I would do a lot of like tattoo type art for fun, and I'm like, no, like I would like to do tattooing, but again, I just don't see myself getting anywhere with it. I just don't have a passion enough for tattooing that I would want to pursue it. Same with makeup, like I'm just not like into it enough. So my stepmom is a dentist, and she was like, well, you could be a dental assistant. It's a really secure job. Like, you get a 401k, hours. unlike art. So that's kind of the reason I didn't go into art right away, because everyone around me was kind of putting in my head like, oh, you might not make money, like you might go to art school, but like art school kids don't always make it. I was stupid and was like, okay, like I'll do that. She's like, dental assisting's super easy. You go to school for a year, I can help you. So I went to dental school in 2017 and I worked in dental for 2 years and absolutely hated it. I loved school. I love the textbook side of it. I'm really into anatomy and things like that. I had the highest grade in anatomy too. Really liked learning. I love to learn. That's the thing about me. I feel like I'm never out of school. Like I'm constantly in school. I love school, but then when I got out into the real world and I was 19, 20, it was just not my thing. The clinical healthcare life is just not for me. My brain doesn't work that way. So I learned about microblading. I didn't know it was a thing. And I definitely didn't think anyone here was doing it. I like was kind of naive and ignorant in that sense. I found out by watching I think it was an Ashley Swan YouTube video, who's like Tana Mojo's best friend. I'm really into YouTube, so Ashley Swan got her eyebrows microbladed in LA and they looked really natural. And me being from Florida, I've only seen the old ladies with like blue eyebrows that are tattooed on. That's the only thing I knew about it. And so I'm like, oh my god, like her eyebrows look amazing, like what did she get done? And so I'm like YouTubing like microblading, like what is it, and like fell in love with it. Everyone who knew me in high school knew I was very serious about my eyebrows. To take like 45 minutes every morning to draw them on and come to school, and sometimes look ridiculous, but sometimes it would look okay, but sometimes they didn't. But I was very serious about them. I feel like that was just like a 2014 thing where everyone was like obsessed with eyebrows and everyone like knew I had an eyebrow thing. So anyways, so the first thing I did was I Googled like, is anyone around me like doing microblading? And I looked through all the people and there was maybe like 3 people at the time, this was back in I think like 2018. And like there was actually people in India that were doing it, like a ton of people in India who were doing it. And I was like, wow, like that's crazy. I've never even heard of it here. I thought that was like definitely just an LA thing, but I was like happy because I was like, great, like I'm gonna reach out and see what I can do about getting trained. Like I'm willing to throw away my stable job to jump into this new thing that's like made for me. I reached out to someone and I did a 7-month apprenticeship with them, which is not necessary, but I did it. And that's a whole different video. Like, it was not a good time, was not a fun time, yeah. And I'm not gonna say if they were in town or not, like I'm not gonna say who it was. If you know, you know. But that's a totally separate video for another time. Lots of times during that time, and I was just feeling so lost. Like I said, I left my dental job to start this 7-month apprenticeship. I was doing the 7-month apprenticeship and making like maybe $200 a month with clients because I wasn't getting them and I wasn't allowed to get them. So I like wasn't making any money. I was living straight off of my savings. My whole family was like, what are you doing? Like, I'm so confused. Like, what do you do? And like, why are you doing it? Like, you had a good job. Why did you leave it? Everyone around me was just like in my ear, like, this is so dumb. Like, you're so dumb. And I felt so dumb until my apprenticeship ended, which again will be mentioned in the other video how that ended. But then I started at Spa Bar, which is where I'm at now, and I met Taylor and blah blah blah. And like, it was kind of a bittersweet beginning. I'm like, okay, I'm on my own. I can do whatever I want, which is great. I didn't have the best guidance. I didn't know what I was doing. But I was happy because I'm like, nothing can hold me back anymore. It's me, and I know that if I'm behind my business, I'm going to do everything in my power to be successful. And I think that's what was different when I was in my apprenticeship, was I was being held back a lot from the person and wasn't allowed to do anything. So now I'm like, okay, I'm free, I can do whatever I want, but like, what do I do to start? My apprenticeship was less than helpful. I had to basically reteach myself everything on my own. Luckily, when we were closed for 4 months during lockdown, I did a lot of work behind the scenes. I'm still obviously always learning, but at this point I don't feel lost. I feel like I've got myself out there, but in the beginning it was very scary. So that's how I got into it, and I've been in love with it ever since. There has been 1,000 moments where I'm like, should I just quit? Like, this is stupid. I live in Lafayette, like this is not gonna work. Maybe if I move like into a bigger city. I wanted to give up so many times, but I didn't, because I'm like, I know that one day this is going to work. It's going to work. And I don't want to say that it has yet. I've been very, very blessed with the success I've had so far, but again, the way that my brain works that I've explained before, like I am not happy until I get to my highest level or my highest point that I can be, and I know I'm not there yet. So I'm like stuck in this in between, but I'm definitely comfortable, if that makes sense. So I feel okay, but I'm like, I want to be on to the next thing, because I know there's something bigger. I'll go on to the next question, which is, will you ever be doing training in Lafayette? So, no. The way the health department works in Lafayette is extremely outdated. They have no regulation on permanent makeup, so permanent makeup falls under tattooing, and so there's a lot of tattoo laws you have to abide by. And to have students, you have to go to the health department and pay $200 to have a license in my facility. You have to have a health department check in my facility first, get your license and put it up in my studio, and then do a model. And that's a very long and expensive process for no reason. I had to do that to do this in Lafayette, but if you don't plan on working in Lafayette, it's kind of silly to pay $200+ to get a license there, when you could just do the training and then go wherever you want to be and pay for your licensing there. In Carmel, and literally most places, you don't have to have like a license to do a model. You just have to pass your bloodborne pathogens, and my building is certified with the health department. There's no like licensing there, it's all certification, and it's super easy. And in Carmel, you can like have as many students as you want. They just have to pass their test, and then once they have their test, they take it to the health department wherever they want to work. So if you want to work in Indy, or you want to work in Kokomo or something, you go to your Kokomo health department, show them your test, like, hey, I passed my test, and they give you your license, and you pay your money then. It's not like you have to go through months and months and hundreds of dollars, get your license in an established tattoo shop and be a tattoo artist. It's different. It's so much harder, and the health department doesn't allow it anyways. The only thing you can do in Lafayette legally is like a tattoo apprenticeship, but that's like a 2-year thing. I mean, they're just so strict too. You don't have to do a 2-year apprenticeship like anywhere. No one requires that. Sometimes it's like a 2-day thing. Tattooing, yes, but permanent makeup is completely different. Next question, is there a limit on how many times you can get touched up? Yes, there is. So if you come in and you're like, hey, I need my brows touched up, and you come in and lay down and I'm like, they look fine. Like, I will tell you that, because honesty is 100% more important than messing someone up permanently. The more you go over hair strokes, like with the microblading, the more they blur, and over time they will start to blur. That's why if a hair stroke is there, I do not touch it. I only go in the spots where I see spots where the pigment didn't take, and I'll go over it again to put the pigment back in the skin, but I'm not going to go over everything again because it's already there, and the more you do it, the more it blurs. And with shading, like lips or eyeliner or the powder brows, you don't want to oversaturate it, because you can do too much. You want to leave it saturated enough so that there's color, but you don't want to oversaturate it to the point where it looks like Sharpie. So you really have to let it fade to a certain point before you touch it up again. Plus, the more you touch it up, the more scar tissue you're building up, and the less and less you'll get numb at each appointment, and the less and less color I can put into the skin, because there's so much scar tissue in the skin. So yes, there is a limit on that, and I will let you know if you're like overdoing it. Number 8 is your favorite Taylor Swift song. Now this is the question I want to answer the most. So this is the hardest question I feel like I've been asked so far, but I was hoping someone would ask me something about her. If you don't know me, I love Taylor Swift more than literally anything in the world, and it's really hard to pick a favorite Taylor Swift song, because I feel like there's like 3 from each album that I like the most, and it's really hard to narrow it down to one. But I'm gonna have to say my favorite song, not only of all time, but my favorite Taylor Swift song is August from the Folklore album. It was a really hard tie between like August and Tim McGraw, because Tim McGraw was the very first song I ever heard from Taylor Swift when I was like 7, and that song has always stuck with me, and that song is the song I will play if I can't sleep at night. If I'm feeling stressed out, I play it. It just has so much sentimental meaning to me, rather than like me actually liking it because I like it. It's like more of like my childhood memories. But yes, August, if you haven't heard it, go listen to it. It's amazing. The next question is, can I get microblading done if I am taking medication for acne and also using a topical for acne? So it depends on what it is. So if it's just topical and you're just applying it on your problem areas, like a different gel or something, that's totally fine as long as you're not using it on the brow area. However, it gets really difficult when it comes to the medication, because the medication actually changes the chemistry in your skin. It will happen, like for instance, if I'm working on someone who's taking a acne medication orally, or Accutane or something like that, the skin will not hold pigment. I will just be working on the skin and it'll just be turning red and becoming hamburger meat, and not actually implanting any color, and you will just be left with a bunch of scarring and a bunch of redness when you leave, and no color, no brows. So no, I'm gonna say no. I'm only really okay with like spot treatment stuff, because it does change your skin and causes your skin to get extremely irritated, and it does more damage than good to you. So no, unfortunately. My next question is, do you ever get nervous? I think that's just like general. I always get nervous in my life, but not like with this, if that makes sense. I'm a very like anxious person. Honestly, I tell everyone this all the time when they ask me. Like, it's not that I'm ever nervous or anxious to do eyebrows. It's always the anxiety of like meeting someone new. Again, I'm not a very social person, and meeting someone new is really scary sometimes, and like being able to talk to them and like make them happy. That's all extremely nerve-wracking for me. But the nervousness of like doing eyebrows, I don't feel that. I used to, like when I was in my apprenticeship, I would like be like shaking and be like because I was genuinely messing people up because I didn't know any better. And I always felt like crap when they were done, and I hated feeling like that. And I just remember going home and just like being an anxious mess, and I wouldn't sleep. I would feel like physically sick and not be able to eat the whole day if I had a client that day. I would say like from the 6-month apprenticeship, the 7-month apprenticeship or whatever, to like the rest of that year, like it was really hard for me because I didn't know what I was doing, genuinely. I left a 7-month apprenticeship not knowing what I was doing, which is bad. And basically, like I said, I had to teach myself all over again. So until I built that confidence level, once I got things down and figured things out, I was nervous. And people ask me all the time, like, have you ever like messed someone up? Yes, like I said, yes, long time ago. In the last 2.5 years, no. But yeah, so in the last like 2.5 years, no, I don't get nervous before an appointment, other than the fact of like meeting someone. But yes, so I do get nervous for the social part of it, but the eyebrow part, not really. I have gotten my routine pretty down to where it's pretty foolproof. I can't mess up. And you pretty much see everything before it's there. So if there's something that they're not gonna like, they will tell me before we even do it. And like, there's so much room for adjusting and whatever. Like, I don't get nervous about, like, if I was like freehanding it and like I didn't know what I was doing like I was in the beginning, then yeah, it's really nerve-wracking. Definitely taught myself to set myself up for success before I do brows. So no, I don't get nervous. And people ask me all the time about eyeliner, like, are you nervous you're gonna poke them in the eye with a needle? I'm like, no. The first time I ever did eyeliner, I could tell you I was a little nervous, more so because you're on, like, you put your finger on the eye and you basically split it with your fingers, and their eye like shakes, so it's like you're shaking, but you just have to learn how to control that, and then you're fine. It, like, there's no way you could possibly poke them in the eye unless they just like moved a certain way, like super fast, or like you just like were doing something completely wrong. It's really hard for that to happen, I promise. So that was pretty much it for my questions. If I did leave out a question that you really wanted me to answer and you just didn't get to answer it in time, just shoot me a DM and I can either answer it for you right away, or I do want to make another one of these. So send me questions and I will save them and try to make another one of these so that you guys can watch them. And thank you for watching. Thank you for caring. Thank you for asking questions and following me in my journey, in my life. I consider everyone who talks to me a friend. I just really appreciate it. So thank you for your questions. I'm a really fun time doing this. I want to do more educational videos, so please send me more questions or suggestions for videos. Just send me a message on Instagram or something. But thank you so much. I'm going to grab my dog so you can say hi to my dog because he's staring at me. I'm gonna go grab my puppy so he can say bye. I'll be right back. But this is Dewey. He is a pocket pit bull Rottweiler puppy, and he is basically a 6-month-old child. And he's very needy, isn't that right? So thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Say goodbye. Say bye. Bye.